Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today we're here for Avataro Sentai DonBrothers episode 11, and there's a lot went on in this episode. A lot of foreshadowing and a lot was revealed. I mean, man, these beastial things seem like they're going to be a really big problem, and it seems like the Cerebrands and our DonBrothers may have to team up to actually take these things down, considering the fact of the threat that these things pose. But we start off the episode with our three Cerebrands talking to they talk about the bestials end up coming back, so they end up talking to Jin. Turns out Jin is a guardian. Jin was made to be a guardian so the bestials don't come back, and also the cell or the world that he's in is actually like a parallel world that keeps the bestials out. And he warns the Cerebrands about, well, before visiting hours are over, well, after visiting hours are over, he did tell them one thing, that he tells them that what the Cerebrands are basically, what you can do to tell that someone's a Cerebrand. So we see that, I mean, someone's a bestial. So he tells them that there'll be three animals, and if you see someone folding origami, then you'll know that that person is a bestial. The bestials actually they're disguising themselves as humans and things. So he basically says that there will be three of them: a cat, a crane, and a penguin. And yeah, it was weird. But basically, if you see anybody folding these origami, then you know that that person is a bestial. So we see the man. We see the man that from the last episode, who is a bestial, and we see that he is the cat bestial. He's basically disguising himself as the police chief. He was the police guy, so he's disguising himself as him. And we see that while he's like at work, these two cops are talking about they found Inazuka, the Black Ranger Inazuka. And when he hears them say his name, apparently that triggers him. So they end up going to find. So we end up seeing Inazuka. We get a flashback of him and Natsume at a clothing store buying. He buys her like 3 outfits, stuff like that, just doing some lovey. Like, he loves this girl. He's doing stuff that I would do. But we see that he's actually working in like a restaurant, and I guess he's a busboy because he's like washing dishes and things, and he ends up breaking a dish, and the dude tells him to leave. So he's leaving, and these two cops end up seeing him. We see that the police chief dude, he's there as well, and we see they end up chasing him down. They end up chasing Inazuka, and Inazuka jumps on this bike, and the police chief dude is chasing after him barefoot, right? And I'm like, yo, this is weird. It was kind of weird because the CGI looked kind of wonky with all the monstrous things that he was doing, and he ends up cornering Inazuka in this warehouse, because everything bad happens in a warehouse in Toku, and he ends up holding him up by his neck, and as he's shoving a origami, basically an origami cat head in his mouth, and it makes him very, very, he ends up escaping. Inazuka ends up escaping, but it ends up making him very, very sick. So he ends up going to Kijuo's house. That's Pink. He ends up going to Kijuo's house, and Kijuo, he's like very, very sick, and he ends up Kijuo ends up nursing him back to health. After Kijuo basically puts him in the bed, we see that Kijuo actually runs and finds Taro. But he runs off. But you see that Taro is doing deliveries and things. He does a delivery for this guy who's basically like wanting to be a ninja. He's like training and stuff in his like yard. Turns out this guy is going to be our monster of the week. Now, there is no Kaito in this episode at all. No Kaito in this episode. We don't see Kaito at all in this episode, and we don't see what gear this guy was, but most likely he was one of the ninja teams. He had to be the ninja, or he had to be any other team. He had to be a ninja team. So we don't see the gear that he is, but it's assumed, but we know he's one of the ninja teams. So we see that Taro ends up embarrassing this guy after this guy tries to basically duel him, and that's what causes his I forgot what the name of the monsters are called. Well, it basically causes the monster in him to basically manifest. So we'll get back to him later. But we see that Kijo ends up meeting up with Taro, and then Taro ends up saying that, hey, I still got deliveries to do, but I can get somebody to come help you. So he ends up having Haruka go up there and try to nurse Inazuka back to life. And he's like mad fever. He has a huge fever. He's hallucinating. He looks at Haruka and he thinks she's Natsumi, and she ends up kicking him. But Kijo's like, maybe you should just pretend to be Natsumi so it'll help him ease his mind or whatever. So we see that Kijo is Kijo and Haruka are trying to nurse him back to health, and that's when Blue, haven't learned Blue's name yet altogether, but Blue ends up coming there and also trying to help out or whatever, and they're doing all sorts of things trying to help him. To like ends up like giving him, like trying to nurse him back to health, and we see that basically nothing is really working. But we see that we see that Taro ends up getting ambushed by the ninja dude, and he actually transforms into his monster at will. Like he actually he does it at will. I think that's like one of the first. I think that's like he turns to it at will, like he's conscious of the fact that he's a monster and has this power. So he transforms and ends up fighting. Starts fighting Taro. We see that the rest of the crew, they ended up it's a whole back and forth thing they had going on here with, because Haruka and Blue don't know who don't know who Pink and Black are. They don't know who they are as people. But Haruka does say that, I think I remember seeing who Pink was, but I don't remember his face. And I was like, yo, how do you not remember this dude's face? I mean, it was 9 episodes ago, but still, like, she doesn't remember his face. So, also, Pink doesn't know that Haruka and Blue are, are yellow and blue. Like, he doesn't know that. So, I don't think Pink knows who Black is either. I don't think Kijo knows Inazuka is Black. Well, he's not Black, but he's Black Ranger. He doesn't know that Inazuka is the Black Ranger. I don't know, but we have this whole back and forth thing. They end up getting to the battle, and that's when Taro was like, "Hey, he's after me, so I'm going to be the one to handle this." So they end up leaving, and I guess I didn't know they could do that. Like they could just like de-transform and port out of the battle. I thought they were forced into the battles and they couldn't leave. I don't know. I mean, Inazuka, he's not in the battle because he's sick, so he doesn't get forced into the battle to way later in the episode when they defeat the monster after he's feeling better from a very surprising source. Basically healing him. But yeah, so, and also after he has that whole chase scene with with the beastial, we don't see the beastial for like the rest of the episode. So but we do see its true form. But yeah, so we see that they're porting back and forth into the fight, stuff like that. But they're porting into the fight, also porting back to Kijo's house to try and basically trying to help Inazuka out. And then Blue has the bright idea to get Kijo to go to the hospital, pretend to have Inazuka's symptoms, and then maybe the doctor will give you the medicine that they probably will need for Inazuka to feel better. And they end up he does end up going to the doctor and stuff. He ends up getting patched up with like a broke leg or whatever, and then he ends up coming back. It turns out the doctor actually gave him a laxative, and then they got a funny scene of Inazuka going to the bathroom. It was funny, but we do see they end up porting back into the fight, and they had Kijo do some weird thing where he would fill a bowl with salt, put it on top of his head, and then pray that Inazuka feels better. Which, is that actually a thing? I mean, they did it. Like, is that actually a thing? But if it is, it's funny. But I don't want to disrespect anyone if that actually is a thing. But we see that, or while he's doing that, they end up getting ported back. We see that while he's like praying, he has his eyes closed. We see that Haruka and Blue end up transforming and going back to the battle to help Taro. So also, this has to be happening in seconds because, you know, Taro's still fighting this guy. Like, how long is he fighting this dude? Because the whole like thing was weird. Like him fighting this guy, them coming back and forth until the fight. Like, I'm wondering, like, how long did he fight this guy? Because they were doing this, like, they were waiting like a while. They were waiting like a while before, you know, coming back to the fight. So they ended up going back to the fight, and they see that Kijo ends up getting. They see the pink rain, or you see that pink is being ported too, and they look and see when he gets ported over, he's in his ranger form, but he still has the yellow bowl of salt on his head. And then they look, and then they're like, wait a minute, they say you're pink, and he's like, oh, then he realizes, oh wait, you two are blue and yellow. And I was like, oh, okay, finally. Now they know. Now they know, like, that who each other is. Thank freaking God. I'm so glad this crap is over. But they end up battling him, and then the salt on his. We see that the ninja. We see that the ninja monster ends up making clones of himself, and he's still fighting Taro, and they're having a hard time with the clones. So we see his head. We see that pink. The salt ends up flying off of his head, and then the salt ends up flying as he raining down into all the ninja clones and the ninja dudes, like eyes and stuff like that. And then that's when they end up using that opportunity to attack. They all transform into their Robotaro forms, and they end up destroying him and destroying all the monsters. Oh, basically destroy everything. Actually defeating the monster. And no mech fight in this episode, but we're gonna get a mecha fight in the next episode, which looks absolutely dope, because now we're going to have their whole like mech where all of them are fused together. So we're finally gonna get the actual, like, their actual mech with all of them in it. So we see that like, you know, when they end up they have to be in their Robotaro forms to end up using this mech, because you know, it's them transforming it. Like, since while they're in their Robotaro forms, they transform into they're basically robots. So they transform, and they transform into robots, because the Robotaro forms are robot based, and they end up transforming into this mech form. But we're not gonna get that to the next episode. So they end up defeating him, and while all that's going on, we see that Miho, you know, Kichiru's good wife, that he's so freaking proud of, and congratulations, brother. But I don't know about this one. This was creepy. So she comes home, and then no one's there, and she ends up going into the room and seeing Inazuka laying there in the bed. And she starts, like, her voice gets deeper, and she starts like twitching, and I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. So even the whole atmosphere changes, like the ambiance, like everything changes. Like, it gets darker, and it gets like looming and stuff like that. The whole thing changes. So she sees that he's like effed up, and she reaches into his mouth and pulls out the origami cat. And she takes it and crushes it, and we hear like a scream, like something far away screamed in pain. And I'm thinking maybe the cat beastial kind of felt that. I don't know. The bestials are the bestials all on the same side? Because there's 3 bestials, so it's like, are they all on the same side or whatever? So she starts like twitching. She pulls it out, destroys it, and then Inazuka's opening his eyes, and he sees Natsumi. Well, he's like still hallucinating. He sees Miho, but he sees Natsumi. He gets up, and then she's gone, like completely, just like she's gone. And when she's gone, he ends up getting ported into the fight, and then that's when they end up destroying the monster and stuff. So after that, we see Miho kind of like, you know, she's sitting at the table, and she's like basically like doing regular things, and out of nowhere everything just stops. Like, we get to the credits, and it ends up going back to her, and everything just stops and gets quiet. Like, it's kind of creepy, and we see her grab some paper, and she ends up folding the paper into a crane. So it seems that Miho slash, I don't know, Miho, I'm gonna call it Miho right now. Turns out Miho is a bestial. She's the crane bestial. So this is gonna be a thing. But the episode ends up right there. Next episode we're gonna get the new mech. And yeah, but this episode, it was cool, it was fine, but the whole like back and forth of going back to the fight, then back to Inazuka, then back to the fight, going back to Inazuka, that portion of the episode kind of like lasted too long for me. I kind of just want them to go ahead and just get to the point. But thankfully the payoff was, you know, them basically finding out that who each other is, like identity wise. And yeah, but other than that, that portion kind of lasted too long for me. And this whole Miho and Natsumi thing, and them looking alike and stuff like that, maybe Natsumi is the penguin bestial. Because if Natsumi and Miho are two separate people, then maybe they're both bestials that kind of like that basically took on the same appearance in human form. But maybe Natsumi is the penguin bestial, and then that old guy, the police chief guy, he's the cat bestial, and we know that Miho is the crane bestial. But right now we don't know if Natsumi and Miho are the same person or the two separate people that are bestials. Like, we don't know that, but we know that yet. But I'm looking forward to finding out, because I want to know, like, what's the crane? Because the cat bestial looks dope. Like, his bestial form, it looks freaking dope. He looks like a boss that like you would really have to take seriously. But other than that, that's really my only gripe with it, I guess. Like, it was just the back and forth with going back to the fight and back to Kijo's house. Like, that, I'm like, man, is this gonna end soon? But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about episode 11 of DonBrothers. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and stay henshin.